to allow them to make sure their sales forces are strongly aligned with the Blackhawk sales force. We want everybody to win, and when everybody's again, not to be crude about it, but when everybody's getting paid, everybody gets motivated on teamwork. And so that's a detailed set of data that I think is important in our partnerships.
So John, we just wrapped up an exciting day from the MDM Virtual Profitability Summit, and you hosted one panel that I think hit on such a big topic with what's important today with both manufacturers and distributors. And I think this session really dove into how manufacturers and distributors can partner together to increase and protect their profits moving forward, because the markets are cycling down, demand is cycling down. It's going to become more and more competitive out there, and distributors and manufacturers need to work closer in partnership to really start to steal market share from their competition. John, why don't you unpack who was on this session and a little bit more about that session?
Yeah, I mean, James, it was fun. We had a leader, Jim Biel from Blackhawk Industrial, a big, what I call industrial MRO cutting tools distributor in the United States, coast to coast. Jim also worked for Grainger for many years and Zorro, so he brought a really unique perspective. And then we had Marty Rossman, who Marty's kind of a legend in the business.
Yeah.
Marty's VP marketing at Grainger. He's also global industrial. He's now working for RS Hughes. He's worked for some of the leading distributors in the channel. And then we had a really unique, what I thought was really cool, manufacturer perspective, right? From Jeanne Stark. And Jeanne's background is kind of Ideal Industries, Schneider Electric Squared E, and she's now with a company called Intermatic. So she brought a kind of a unique, what I call big manufacturer and small manufacturer perspective, right? For some of the companies she worked for.
Yeah.
So it was really enlightening because the whole session was about win-win partnerships. And they really shared a tremendous amount of details, kind of how they're building scorecards, how they view, it wasn't just 30,000 feet, was it? It was really specific on things you can do, whether you're a distributor or manufacturer, to go out and grow business with your partners and take share for the balance of the year.
So here's a quick preview of some of what occurred during this session.
I would say that's the big key to drive preference and direct towards purchasing. Several things. We take a multi-spoke approach. First and foremost, of course, is always just working to maintain ongoing awareness and constant presence of the manufacturer's brands and their availability with us. A couple of approaches to that is we make sure we impress upon our partners, manufacturers, that we want to market the entire product line, not just selected key SKUs, that we're the source to customers for their entire brand, that their brand is strong and meaningful, and that we have all the solutions that their brand can deliver. It sounds basic, but we make sure that all the key basic purchase decision criteria beyond price are there for, especially their critical SKUs. Because if this isn't in alignment, then all the marketing for preference won't work. So whether it's availability and shipping time or shipping costs for customers or returns, we got to make sure that's all in alignment and not overlooked. But surprisingly, it sometimes is. And then we'll work the next step as far as positioning and make sure we're positioning it tightly in joint agreement with the manufacturer. And one quick example is when we were at Grainger and took on the plumbing line, we positioned our plumbing suppliers and partners to a specific market segment. We weren't actually going after plumbing contractors, actual plumbing pros, because we knew that there was so much specialty there that they would be going to plumbing vertical houses, but that we were marketing towards facility managers and general maintenance, people who use plumbing secondarily. So we did our positioning and our marketing and our pricing relative to them. And then the last thing to drive preference, obviously, as we all know, is connectivity to our sales force, especially to our sales reps and our frontline managers. And really the best way to drive that preference and have it top of mind is for the manufacturer to work with us to do truly hands-on training. in the branch or at customer locations in front of customers, way more effective than doing remote training through online modules or webinars. We feel if we do that whole combination of things, that it really works to start to drive preference and purchases and identification that that manufacturer's brand is available from us.
We have over 3,000 suppliers. We do not do 3,000 quarterly meetings. So John, back to your comment about, strategic partners and such, that's where that effort is put forth. And it's in that context that we have a lot of conversations about where our growth is geographically, where our growth is from a customer perspective. At a more detailed basis, we have many suppliers who request point of sale data from us. It's a somewhat controversial topic, I think, in our industry. Do we give that to suppliers and then they could disintermediate us? But they want to use it to, generally compensate their field sales force for supporting us. So I've long believed, and we provide POS data to our strategic and top tier suppliers to allow them to make sure their sales forces are strongly aligned with the Blackhawk sales force. We want everybody to win, and when everybody's again, not to be crude about it, but when everybody's getting paid, everybody gets motivated on teamwork. And so that's a detailed set of data that I think is important in our partnerships.
Yeah, and Jim, just to add on what you said, you may not be sharing line item POS data, but you're sharing some sort of rolled up POS data that benefits the manufacturer and also protects you as a distributor.
Absolutely. Yeah, there still needs to be a degree of professionalism in what gets shared, but most of the manufacturers have some kind of field compensation plan that's based on a region or zip code logic, and it's important to support that.
Comment on that POS because it is a bit of a hot topic, and I will say that we do use it for compensation purposes today, but in all honesty, the more information we could have, at our fingertips, the better marketeers we become on your behalf. So we can, if we know certain geographies or selling certain products, we can target with social media, with email campaigns, everybody in that geography, and just, it's a win-win situation. So we're not trying to take business from you ever. You guys provide a service that we'll never provide. So but the more access to data.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that I heard Marty saying, Jim saying, Jeanne say that I think is important is I think if you're a distributor, you should report back your product category performance like the manufacturer categorizes it, not the way you do it. So if you can send Jeanne a report that says, here's how we're doing by your product category, by your nomenclature, that's more impactful for her to use with her leadership. Conversely, if Jeanne can provide the product categories to Jim in the way that he buys, that I really think is something a lot of teams overlook.
I think rebates are a financial tool, and they're a financial tool for both the manufacturer and the distributor, and they can be used to accomplish a variety of different objectives. I know there are distributors that prefer rebates so that their upfront costs are a little higher, and salespeople are required to raise price to hit a margin target. That's a goal and a tool, as an example, that I've seen. And on the manufacturer side, I know that the rebate structures are used, in a variety of ways to achieve goals. And so as long as we're realizing that the rebates are a financial tool, I think the key discussion between manufacturers and distributors is, what are we trying to accomplish with that tool in our business? Are we trying to, incent greater engagement between our field teams? Are we trying to raise price, through a lever? There's a whole variety of different things in how rebates are structured, both on the income statement of the manufacturer and the income statement of the distributor, that there's a variety of real world business problems that rebates can help solve. And I again go back to my comment about candor and building off Jeanne's comment about listening. If we understand as the distributor and the manufacturer what we're both genuinely trying to accomplish and what our goals are, rebates become a tool in that context. as opposed to when I think rebates are poorly discussed is when it's a sort of binary, can I get a percentage point away from you kind of conversation with distributors and manufacturers. That's not helpful, and it's just orientated towards that particular basis point or 100 basis points or whatever it is. That's not problem solving and not win-win.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing, if you're a distributor, you got to think about what is important from a manufacturer perspective. Jeanne's got to grow her breadth of line and her depth of line at your business. Stock business is more important than direct business, right? You got to think about what's important to Jeanne to help her give you more support. So, and sometimes it involves conversions, right?
If you want to see the full-length session, follow the link at the end of this video or click the link above, and that'll take you to MDM's website where you can register to watch the videos of all the sessions throughout the entire day.